Hello everyone, and thank you for joining me today. In this video, I want to show you all of the books I have recently bought, but also the stack I have out from the library. So there's a lot of books to get through. So let me start with books from the bookstore. I have Clara and the Sun by Kazuo Ishiguro. Now, if you have been following my channel, you know that I've been reading Kazuo Ishiguro's backlisted novels, and I managed to finish them quite recently. So I have his newest release to go, and I'm really excited to get to this one because this one is about an artificial intelligence. It's like an AI, Clara, hence Clara and the Sun. And I have previously read, of course, as I said, I have read also Never Let Me Go, which is also has a sci-fi twist. And I really enjoyed the way it commented on society and inspired by society and events happening at the time of publication, I believe. So I can't wait what this will bring to the table in the context of 2021, I guess. And also kind of an auto buy, even though an impulse buy as well. I have bought Melissa Brothers' Milk Feed. And I bought this because I have read The Pieces by Melissa Brother, and I really enjoyed the humor in that. Despite, I think, her style and writing and I guess also topics are quite love or hate, I believe. Her main protagonist from the first novel, The Pieces, was also quite unlikable, but also relatable in some sense, and I just enjoyed the way it was written and the humor. So I immediately bought this one as well. Really, I don't know much about it. So it says here, Rachel is 24, a lapsed Jew who has made calorie restriction her religion. By day, she maintains an illusion of existential control through obsessive food rituals while working at a Los Angeles talent management agency. At night, she pedals nowhere on the elliptical machine. I don't know, it just sounds like Bridget Jones' Diaries set in 2021. It says here also that it is deeply hilarious and embarrassingly relatable. And that's exactly what I need to take with me on my summer holiday. It just sounds like a perfect summer read. Okay, off with these over here. And then I'm gonna show you, let me grab them, the ones I bought in the sale. I'm gonna start with the one I actually had on my TBR, and this is one of you has recommended after I think I have talked about my memoirs to read by women. So it is The Last Girl by Nadia Murad, and this is her story about how she was living in a small village where she was attacked. They were attacked by Islamic State. The men were, I guess, killed, and the women were taken captive. And this is her story and how she survived. So I got this, and then I managed to find the most beautiful hardback ever. I just absolutely love, love, love this cover. Let me show you. Isn't this beautiful? I just really love it. It's so perfectly wintry, and the white and green combination, I just love it. Let me tell you the title. This is called Zuleika by Guzel Yakhina, and this is translated from the Russian by, let me see if I can find it quickly, Lisa C. Hayden. So this is the historical fiction novel set around the time of the Russian Revolution, and it follows this woman, Zuleika, whose husband is taken away by the communists because he's hiding food, I guess. And she's also exiled to Siberia, to one of those concentration camps, gulags. I don't know. I've read a non-fiction book about, or a fictionalized non-fiction, something like that, about several short stories about women in the gulag. And yeah, when I saw that this is about that, and it's a fictionalized story set in wintertime, I was like, with this cover, like I had to get it. And I'll probably keep this for winter because it's set in the cold. The next one, I'm not sure why I bought this, but it's one I already read. It is The War Storm by Victoria Aveyard. Now, I read this and I didn't like it, but I have the whole series. I was only missing this one, and I didn't like it. I didn't want to read. I didn't want to buy it. I didn't want to spend 100 krona on it. But it was just 20, same as all the other ones. And I don't know. There's just something about having a completed series. Maybe I'll give it away to someone who can appreciate a young adult dystopian fantasy book like this. I'm not sure. I'll read it. Maybe I'll reread it. I don't know. But I remember not liking it. I don't know why I bought it, but I wanted to save it from the shredder, I guess. That's my only explanation. Okay. Quickly, moving on to the next, I have The Bear by Andrew Krivak. And this is set in this post-apocalyptic world, I believe, where there's no one, only two persons left of humanity, so only two human beings left in the world, and they live in the mountains. It's a father and a daughter, and the father is teaching the daughter to survive when he disappears, I guess, and then a bear comes to the girl's rescue. I don't know if I'm gonna like it or not, but it just sounds really exciting. It says here it's a cautionary tale of human fragility, love, and loss. The bear is a stunning tribute to the beauty of nature's dominion. And then I have Children of War, a novel by Ahmet Yorulmaz. And this is a historical fiction novel based on a diary of a refugee family, because this is set after World War I, so after the fall of the Ottoman Empire, and it is set on Crete, where this man who is a Muslim and he has lived all his life on Crete is asked to leave, he's sent to basically to Turkey. And he just doesn't want to leave because that will mean that he will leave his great love, but also that he will leave his country, his home, and he will need to move to a place where, he doesn't even speak the language. So I really wasn't aware of this dark historical past of Crete, of what happened there after World War I. And then the last one is memoir, so a non-fiction book, and it is Torn from the World, A Guerrilla's Escape from a Secret Prison in Mexico by John Gibler. So I'm not sure if this is completely a memoir, because it says it is about a man called Andres. So maybe John Gibler just writes about the story of Andres. But basically, Andres, it says here, Andres was torn from the world. He was a member of a clandestine group in Mexico, and he was abducted by the military and was taken to prison and beaten and tortured. So I guess this is his story. And then let's get to the books from the library. So I'll just start with showing you the stack, and it's just crazy that I have so many out, but here it is. Also, one of these is quite huge, and I'm happy it came in because it is the third book in the Poppy War series by R.F. Kuang, and it is The Burning God. I really, really enjoyed the first book in the series, The Poppy War, and I was so-so about the second one in the series, but I'm really, really happy to finish this fantasy series and just read this last novel. So we follow, this is like a Chinese history-inspired fantasy. And we follow this young girl who comes from a very poor family in southern China. And she goes to this really elite and really hard to get into academy in the north, in the capital in the first book, because she studies so hard to get in there, and she's only one of the few who can get, because only the elite and people with money can get into a school like that, because you have to pay for tutors and so on and so forth. So she manages to get in, and it is her story of what happened afterwards. And it is a lot, this has to do a lot with war, and it is inspired by real events from China. But it is also great because she discovers that she has magical powers and that she can commune with the gods and draw from their power. It's a great one, and all of these books were so big. So 600 pages. 600, but it's a hardback, and it's one of those with thick pages. So it's really it feels, and it is a long one. But I'm reading at the moment one which is 1,000 pages long and with much smaller font than that. So compared to that, this is a baby. And then I have a picture book, and I normally don't read picture books, don't pick them up, but I always like to check the section out in the library where they have a few on the tables always. And when I saw this, I knew I had to get it. So this is about Frida Kahlo. And I guess it's an illustrated book about her life and her art, and it's just so beautiful. Yeah, I'm excited to know more about her and her art. I think it's beautiful. And then I have Persepolis, My Iranian Childhood. This is in Danish. I couldn't find the English version. By Marianne Satrapi. And this is how it looks on the inside, for example. But I borrowed this from the library because it is about, I guess, this woman's or this child's, this young girl's Iranian childhood. And I recently read a book from Iran by an Iranian author. And when I saw this, I just had to give it a go. And then I have 5 books, and I think most of these I picked up because I'm participating in the Invisible Cities project. So even if these are not related to a specific country or supposed to read, I think I found out through them or the authors because of that. So, if you don't know, the Invisible Cities project is a project with the aim is to read diversely or immerse yourself in 3 countries' culture by maybe watching a movie, a documentary from that country, or cooking a dish from that country, or reading a book from that country. And it's normally 3 countries a month. I think though from August is only 2 countries a month. So I think I found this book through that project and just researching different books and authors and countries. But this sounded really interesting. It's a non-fiction book, and it is by Frantz Fanon. It's called The Wretched of the Earth. And this is written during the War of Independence of Algeria. And the author was a psychotherapist, and he made the connection, or he wrote about the connection of colonialism, imperialism, and I guess mental disease. So it just sounds interesting, and I really love non-fiction books. So I can't wait to get to this. I hope it's gonna be an easy read though, because I have a feeling that maybe I will need to take my time with that. The next one I have is Isabel Allende's A Long Petal of the Sea. I've been meaning to try one of this author's books out for quite a while, so I was happy to randomly find it at the library. I'm not sure that Chile was one of the countries from the Invisible Cities project though. Maybe not, but I've been meaning to try this author nonetheless. And this is a historical fiction set after the Spanish Civil War. So it starts out in the 1930s, and it is about 2 people fleeing that war and I guess what happens. And I think it spans several decades. The next one I have is one I picked up for the Invisible Cities project in Vietnam, and that is The Mountains Sing by Nguyen Pan Khmer. And this one starts out in the 1920s, and it follows this family and I think a mother and her 6 children who have to flee their family farm because of war. And I guess it follows this family for several decades afterwards. So in that sense, it's quite similar to the previous one. I found this next one when I was researching Egypt for the Invisible Cities project. And it is The Jacobean Building by Ala Al-Aswani. So this is, I think, it's an international bestseller. I think it came out in 2002. And in Goodreads, it says that this is kind of a must read if you want to have an insight into love and loss within the Arab world. I think it is set during modern times in Egypt, and it follows a host of different people living in this building. It says here that this reveals the political corruption, sexual repression, religious extremism, and modern hopes of Egypt today. The next one is also a book by an Egyptian author, and I found this also through my research into Egyptian literature, and it's also quite a known book, I believe. And it is Palace Walk by Naguib Mahfouz, and it is book 1 in his Cairo trilogy. And this one is set during the occupation of Egypt by Britain after the First World War. And it follows this family with a very patriarchal father figure who is very strict. His household really has to strictly follow the Quran, but he at night goes out and enjoys the pleasures of Cairo. His wife and daughters are really kept, I guess, locked into the house. So, and his sons are also really kept on a tight leash. So I guess this is about this family and what happens to this family in the context of this historical period, but also when it has this father figure at its head. So this was the last one. Now I have my reading set out for me for the next couple of weeks. I'm not sure I'm gonna manage all of these, but I'll probably manage most of the books from the library because those I have to bring back at some point. But let me know if you have heard about any of these books, and yeah, if you have read any of them. I'm really, really excited for all this historical fiction from all of these different countries. I think I'm really, really gonna enjoy them. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Goodbye.